Hey y'all, it's Elizabeth Weimiller, and I am coming at you with a new Who's in the News. And she's been in the news a lot. She's a writer, she's a director, she's a former actress, she's a singer, and she just is actually getting a ton of publicity for her book, I'm Glad My Mom Died. So today I'm going to look at Jennette McCurdy. I've had a lot of my friends request it, and some other people that just said it would be really interesting. And as they told me more about it, and as I dug deeper and read the book and stuff, I think she's a very interesting case study with everything going on. So, with that being said, Jennette McCurdy is born on June 26th, 1992 at 10:36 p.m. in Garden Grove, California. So, with that as the time of birth, her ascendant is in Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. So I will say, randomly, sidestep, this is a high level overview. The depth these charts go into is a lot. There's a lot of knowledge. There's a lot that goes into them. So this is just very high level in terms of looking at it for you. She does have an A Rodden rating, which is actually really a good rating for her time. So I do think it is relevant, and based on transits and stuff that we'll look at, I do think it fits. So her first house makes her a Capricorn ascendant. So that sets up her chart. She's a Capricorn, as I said, she's Capricorn ascendant, just in case you missed it. She does have the ruler of her first house in the first house. So Saturn's in her first house. It is exactly on her ascendant. Both of them are 24 degrees of Capricorn. This makes Saturn a very powerful influence in her life and who she is as a person. Saturn's going to be very strong because it is in its own sign of rulership. I will just say now Mars is also in its own sign of rulership, so that makes that strong. But Saturn is strong. Being in the first house, Saturn can really give her this real strong sense of responsibility almost, where, she really didn't have that opportunity to be a child. She was thrown into things. She wasn't allowed to just have fun. She wasn't allowed to be a child. For her, she has this capacity to, really structure and organize her life. She can be very dependable, very determined. She really has this strength in her desire to never let others down, but she does need to watch because there will be times that she does need to learn to say no to protect herself, protect her own strength, protect her own energy. One of the things with Saturn in the first is it does delay things. So for her, life is not going to get better. It's going to get better as she gets older. So it's going to start rougher. It's going to start in a harder place, but it will get better as she gets older. She is somebody that's going to benefit from working to a schedule, and she's someone that's really going to honor confidences, but she may also keep her personal stuff to herself. So it's really important for her to find some outlet to let that stuff in so it's not festering within her, which can cause other issues. With Saturn as the ruler of her first house in her first house, that can really indicate that she's someone that can be very independent. She can have a strong sense of purpose in life. She can be very self-sufficient. Saturn also rules her second house, and being in the first house, this can really indicate she's someone who has a really good earning capacity, and she has this ability to influence others with her voice. It can indicate that her diet may not always be the best, or she may not eat regularly. I will throw in there, she has stated that she did have an eating disorder starting around the age of 11, where her calories were severely restricted, and she ended up both having anorexia and bulimia. But she really has this ability to speak clearly about what's on her mind. And ruler of the second and the first, it is a position that can bring her wealth. One thing to note is Saturn is retrograde at the time of her birth, and this can indicate that there's times where she feels she's alone or that no one understands her. She could at times withdraw and be more prone to depression. So it's going to be really important for her to kind of watch that and make sure that if friends invite her out, she goes out with them and hangs out with them if she's in one of those states. That Saturn retrograde influence does kind of let up as you get older. So it will get better as she gets older. Saturn and her ascendant are in the lunar mansion of Dhanishta, which can indicate she can earn a good living, but she also believes in giving to charities that are really close to her heart and mean a lot to her. She can be a good conversationalist and probably really enjoys music and dance. And she's somebody that's going to be very motivated to accomplish her goals and really develop her career. As well as Denisha can, especially where it's her ascendant, and the ruler of her first house indicate gaining fame and recognition from her position. In her fourth house, she has Mars and the moon, and her fourth house is the sign of Aries. So Mars is at home in Aries. It is its strongest sign of the two it rules. So this is hard. So the fourth house is the house we look at when looking at the relationship with the mother. And incidentally, the moon is also the indicator of the mother, or also known as the Karaka. So this can be too much energy in the house of the mother. So for those that haven't read the book, based off the title, you might kind of guess some of it, but I'm glad my mom died. She did not have the best relationship with her mom. She has stated she loved her mom, but that she had some quirks and stuff, and there were some issues that came up. So with the moon and Mars in conjunction with each other, basically they're right next to each other. All this says is that, this can lead really to emotions that are more charged and more easily excited. It can indicate friction or heated interactions with her mother. It can also indicate that her mother had emotional or health issues, or both. Moon in the fourth house can indicate many changes and disruptions within her early family life. And Jennette may always kind of seek a way to feel secure in her life, but may not actually feel at home. She's someone that can really enjoy good clothing, good housing, and vehicles in life. And with that, it could come with emotional ups and downs. The moon is if you think about it with the tides, the moon ebbs and flows, emotions will ebb and flow. She does need to be cautious that she can be more accident prone, and she can be prone to having issues with sleep. So if she doesn't get a good night's sleep, there is a good chance that it is because of this. So she is someone that can really have a youthful disposition and appearance. The moon in Aries does give people, they tend to look younger than their years. Mars in the fourth house can really bring kind of early home life that was more full of despair, more arguments, more fighting, more contentious, some of that Mars energy. But Jennette can be really emotionally energetic, and she can have the ability to really uplift others' emotions. Mars in the fourth house can bring an early separation from the mother, and it can indicate her mother suffering from cancer, which, just to throw in, she lost her mom at 21, and her mom did die from breast cancer. So she fought it the first time, and then it came back in 2013, and that's what she finally succumbed to. Jennette is someone that really has the ability to push through obstacles. She may enjoy doing things quickly, moving quickly. And she can be very independent with a very strong constitution, but she's someone that if she's not challenged, she may get bored, which could lead to issues. And she could be someone that's kind of prone to headaches. Mars as the ruler of her fourth house and in its own sign really can indicate that she can have a love of her home. She can have enjoy spending time there. She can have a desire to own her own home. And she's someone who can feel things extremely deeply. So she can feel them into her soul, and they just impact her more than they may other people's. Mars also rules her 11th house, and being in the fourth house, it can indicate that her mother could have, difficulties to overcome within her life. It could indicate there being stress within the home. So we've seen some of that from the book. We've seen some of that from what Jennette has talked about in her interviews, if you've watched any. Moon rules her 7th house, and being in the 4th house indicates that her future partner may be more concerned with family life and may seek the security and protection that having a family can bring with it in appearance. But for her marriage, may bring that, blessings and a sense of emotional completion. If we look at the lunar mansion, Mars is in the lunar mansion of Byrony, indicating that, the struggles and obstacles she goes through in life are really where she finds gets those personal breakthroughs. And this is truly for her about personal transformation. So there could be times where she feels oppressed by others, oppressed by large groups, or restrictive laws imposed by others. And she's someone that really is gonna stick by her family and friends. So One of the things to mention is that she didn't write her book until after her mother passed away in 2013. It just got released in 2022. So she took that time, she worked through things, and she kind of saw what it is, but she did not release it till after her mom passed. Her moon is in the lunar mansion of Critica, which can give her a really determined and tenacious will to achieve. She can be passionate, ambitious, at times stubborn. She may set her goals and expectations too high and burn out her health. So she really needs to pay attention to that and offset that by kind of like chunking the goals down into smaller bite-sized chunks. Critica is one of the lunar mansions that with her moon there, it can indicate rising to places of fame and prominence. And I will also say that having the moon there could indicate her mom was a little more cutting and a little more sarcastic at times too. In her 6th house, she has 3 planets. She has the node of the moon, K2, she has the sun, and she has Venus. Sun in the 6th house can indicate that there's a focus on health matters. She may have been interested in, focusing on exercise and eating. It can play a role in her life. Now, this can go either way. So it can be the good of it and the bad of it. She can have a very powerful work ethic and drive to achieve. She's someone who can overcome conflicts. She could have trouble with relatives, and her father could struggle in his life. But she has this ability to really talk about anything. She can be polite. She can be charming. She may not always want to take a stand at times. And so that's one thing that, there may be times she needs to take a stand. And so she needs to get out of her comfort zone and do that. The sun rules her 8th house, and where it's in the 6th house can indicate that, she could have lawsuits that could bring her gains and increases in money. She, may at times feel a lack of support from people. Sun and Venus are in the same sign. They are conjunct. We're going to talk about Venus in a minute, but in the 6th house. But Sun and Venus, in the 6th house, really together, it can indicate her having skills in the arts as an actor, a musician, an artist, and an entertainer. Venus in the 6th house, part of it can be addiction. Venus in the 6th can indicate addiction. She is a recovering alcoholic. She started drinking pretty heavily after her mom passed away, probably trying to work through all the emotions. But Venus in the 6th can indicate that she could have an interest in clothing and hair and makeup and other matters related to Venus. For her, coworkers may primarily be women, and they may be easier to get along with. But she personally, Jennette, is someone who is ready to fight for and defend those those she loves. She can have a love of pets and small animals. She can be friendly, charming, and fun-loving, but she can have this love of art as well. So Venus rules her 5th house, and being in the 6th house can indicate that her talents will be put to practical use to achieve her goals. So she's really going to be able to use those and harness those to help her achieve what she sets out to achieve. For her, hard work is really going to be the key. It's going to pay off in the long run. And for her, pets may be like children. So if she has pets, they may just be like kids to her. Venus also rules her 10th house of career. And being in the 6th house, it can indicate that she's someone who's going to work hard for success. She can be really good at providing service. So those are all powerful things. K2 in the 6th house really can indicate that she has an ability to deal well with ambiguity and uncertainty. She can be intuitive and have a real unique approach to solving problems. She's going to look at it differently than most people will. She can have success in conflict resolution, but she does need to be cautious as she can get into debt. So making sure she pays attention to her cash inflow, where it's being spent, how it's being spent, etc., will pay off. She may be someone that actually can have weird dreams or talks in her sleep. She can have this interest in more unique healing modalities such as yoga, herbs, and acupuncture. So the more what are considered esoteric kind of healing, more Eastern, less Western medicine. K2 in the 6th can also bring a love of pets. So there's a lot of love of pets here. I don't know if she has any pets, but I would be shocked if she doesn't. If she doesn't, she may want some. She can really have this creative mind that is full of new ideas. She can be a good writer. And she may have this unique ability of subtle analysis. She may be able to see things that others wouldn't understand and put those together. K2 Sun and Venus are all in the same lunar mansion, and they're in the lunar mansion of Ardra. So this can be a hard lunar mansion in that the symbolism of it is a teardrop, so it can bring a lot of tears. But she, on the positive side, can have a good memory. She can be quick acting. There could be ups and downs in her career at times. Ardra is can be a little destructive, but people that have this can be very good at creating things out of destruction. For her, the real key is that she's going to need to really develop a sense of gratitude and appreciation, which is going to really help her heal many wounds in life. And that's where she gets true satisfaction, is overcoming those hardships, working through those obstacles, and really succeeding in getting through them. Her 7th house is Cancer, and she has Mercury in Cancer. Mercury in the 7th can really indicate that she could have a partner that's fun, easy to be with because they have great communication skills with each other. Her partner can be intelligent with a sense of humor. For her, choosing a partner is really, she needs somebody that has a sense of humor, because that's going to be really important for her. And she may be attracted to individuals that are younger than her or young at heart, so they don't act their age. Venus in the 7th Mercury in the 7th, Mercury in the 7th she can be a spokesperson for a business. She herself can be humorous. She can be good with writing and communication. She may primarily approach relationships from her mind at the beginning. So that is one thing she needs to be aware of, is she can get a little too mental. Because of that mental side, she needs to be cautious not to get overly critical in relationships. She is someone that can have a really active imagination, and she has the ability to say the right thing at the right time. So she can do really well in those artistic pursuits. So writing, music. She's clearly doing well with this book. It is doing very well on the bestseller list. But again, she can be too mental / in her head in love and impatient at times. Mercury rules her 6th house, and being in the 7th house can indicate that relationships are going to require understanding and real effort to stay together. So she's going to have to put in the work. They're going to have to work together. They're going to have to be listened, and there may be periods of conflict. Mercury also rules her 9th house. And again, being in the 7th house indicates she could end up with a more spiritual partner who brings blessings to her life. She's someone that knows how to relate well to others, which is a real strength for her. Mercury is in the lunar mansion of Pushya, which indicates she's someone who's independent, self-sufficient, socially adept. She's very passionate about those things she believes in, but she does need to be cautious about who she believes in. So she has to take her time a little more before digging into that. So that's kind of Mercury in the 7th. So in her 8th house, she has Jupiter. Her 8th house is Leo. Jupiter in the 8th house of Leo, she's someone who has the ability to lead and counsel others. She can have creative writing abilities. She can be a dependable friend who's very trustworthy. She's someone who can have a deep desire to understand the meaning of life, but she may at times kind of feel a lack of support or recognition. Jupiter rules her 3rd house. And being in the 8th house can indicate a difficult relationship with siblings. She hasn't talked much about that. I don't know how close she is with her siblings, but it could be harder. And it may have been harder when she was younger, until she gets older and really works through some of it. She can also have an interest in metaphysical subjects, or she may discover later in life this interest in metaphysical subjects. So like astrology, numerology, what would be, average people call out there. Obviously, if you're watching this video, you're interested in astrology. Jupiter's in the lunar mansion of Purva Falguni, indicating a real ability to communicate with and influence others. She's loyal. She's someone that could be vindictive if hurt, but it won't be in a confrontational way. It'll be more almost passive aggressive in a way. But she's somebody that's attractive. She's artistic, and she may use music and dance to express herself. Last but not least, we're going to skip Pluto here because I don't do Pluto in Eastern astrology. And then we're going to skip Neptune and Uranus. But she has Rahu in her 12th house of Sagittarius. It is the other node of the moon, which can really indicate that she has this capacity to handle rough or unrefined people. She's someone who's going to work hard. she's always going to manage to succeed no matter what she kind of goes through. And there will absolutely be obstacles she goes through. She can have an interest in travel, especially traveling abroad. Jupiter rules her 12th house, and it's in her 8th house, indicating she could get inheritance or other forms of unexpected or unearned income. She's someone that can be very intuitive, very insightful. She can be a good researcher. She's good at digging deep, but she may kind of be someone that suffers more in secret and lacks support from others. Rahu is in the lunar mansion of Mula, which can give her a very passionate nature with that desire to get to the bottom of things. She may at times feel bound or trapped by her circumstances, but what she really needs to do is make sure that she doesn't get caught up in blaming her environment or others for those. She's someone who is determined to succeed. So we see a lot of common threads, trends, whatever I'm trying to say throughout the chart. And when I see multiple hits for things, it's even more powerful in indicating who we are. The last thing I want to do is I do want to look at the transits on the day her mom died. So I have the transits down here. Her mother died September 30th, 2013, of, again, cancer. It was the second time she'd had it. So on this day, transiting Saturn is 15 degrees of Libra. So it was sitting here and is exactly opposite her natal Mars. And Mars is one of the indicators of the mother because it rules her 4th house. So Saturn can be an indicator of death. So this was a huge trigger, in my opinion. Add to it, transiting Ketu was 14 degrees of Aries. So within a degree of her natal Mars, and then also conjunct her moon, both indicate the mother. In the 4th house of the mother, Ketu can be an indicator of loss. I really think that added to when you have Saturn and Ketu both aspecting that, and you've got that many indicators of the mother getting hit, something's going to happen. For her, obviously, it was the death of her mother. So to top all of this off, we talk about the Mahadasha, we talk about how we have different planetary periods in our life. At the time of her mother's death, she was in her Mars Mahadasha, which made Mars even more powerful during this period, and it made any transits aspecting or conjuncting Mars even more kind of pack a punch. So all of that came together. Her mom did pass away that day. And there you have it. So I hope you enjoyed today on Jennette McCurdy. She's a fascinating individual. It will be interesting to watch what she does next, where she takes her career. As always, stay tuned for news, who's in the news. As a friendly reminder, I do sidereal Vedic astrology. So if you put this into a Western chart, it's going to look very different. I've just found personally, with a lot of my clients, this is the better system. So it's what I do and what I have found resonates with people. Anyways, stay tuned for the next Who's in the News. And until then, I hope you have a wonderful month, day, year, whatever it is. So until then, have a great day, and I will see you guys next time.